So after 5 months of using the Redmi Note 15 Pro Plus 5G as my daily driver alongside my Xiaomi 13 Ultra, I realized something very weird. I kept reaching for the Redmi more, and honestly, I didn't expect that because the Xiaomi 13 Ultra is the superior phone here. Better cameras, more flagship power, more premium, everything here. But real life usage and spec sheets are two completely different things. And that is what this video is about, not benchmarks, not camera samples every 2 seconds, and not here are the specs because you probably already know them. This is what living with the Redmi Note 15 Pro Plus 5G for 5 months actually feels like. God, don't know why that name always takes my breath away, but let's talk about how it actually felt like living with this phone for 5 months. And trust me, there are things this phone gets very right and a few things Xiaomi still seriously needs to fix. The first thing I noticed with this phone is how easy it is to live with. Now that sounds pretty simple, but a lot of phones fail at that. Some phones are powerful but annoying, some are beautiful but uncomfortable, some are fast but heat up like a frying pan after 20 minutes. But the Redmi Note 15 Pro Plus sits in this weird sweet spot where almost everything feels balanced. The display, genuinely one of my favorite things about this phone. Every single day, whether I'm watching YouTube, scrolling through social apps, replying messages, editing quick videos on CapCut, or even just reading comments, the screen still feels premium. Brightness outdoor is excellent, colors look rich without looking fake, especially when you have it on the P3 color gamut, and the smoothness still feels mid-range enough. And after months of usage, I can clearly say this is one of those phones where you stop thinking about the display because it simply never becomes a problem. Of course, some people online complain about the curved display at launch, while others actually prefer it because it makes the phone feels more premium. Personally, I'm somewhere in the middle. It looks beautiful, feels immersive, but accidental touches still happens once in a while. Not enough to ruin the experience, but enough to remind you that flat displays are still more practical. Now let's talk about one other thing that surprised me the most with this device: the battery life. This phone is honestly ridiculous when it comes to endurance. There were days I intentionally pushed it hard thinking, today this battery will finally struggle. It didn't. Heavy YouTube usage, 5G on, Bluetooth connected, camera usage, social media, gaming here and there. The phone just keeps going. And over 5 months later, battery health still feels very strong. This is the kind of phone where battery anxiety simply disappears. And the crazy part, once you combine that with the charging speed, you stop caring about percentage entirely. You wake up late, plug it in for a few minutes, you forgot to charge overnight, just plug it in within 20 minutes, you're already having a good enough percentage to start the day with. And that convenience becomes addictive very quickly. And honestly, after using phones with slower charging again, you really feel the difference. The performance is another interesting area. Now, let me be honest here. This is not the fastest phone in its price range. Some reviewers online criticize Xiaomi heavily for using older storage standards and a chipset that doesn't fully dominate the competitors in benchmarks. And if your entire life revolves around benchmark scores and max graphics gaming, maybe you'll care more about that. But in actual day-to-day usage, the phone feels smoother than the internet made it seem. App switching is good, scrolling is mostly fluid, multitasking is reliable. Heat management, well, we'll talk about that much later in this review because it was okay at first, but then it wasn't. Now, if you enjoyed watching this review so far, please hit the like button and also subscribe to help the channel to grow. Now, even after months, it hasn't developed that old Xiaomi lag some older Redmi phones used to get after prolonged use. And I think this is where software optimization matters more than raw numbers. Now, speaking of software, we need to talk about the Android 16 update that was pushed into this phone recently, because this update changed my experience with this phone more than I expected. When the phone originally launched with Android 15, 16, many people online were disappointed, and honestly, they had every right to be. But after getting the Android 16 based update on HyperOS 3, the overall experience became noticeably better. Animations became more consistent, background app management improved, notifications became more reliable for me, battery optimization somehow got even better, and the phone generally feels more polished or intuitive. Before the update, HyperOS still had moments where it felt heavy, and after the Android 16 update, the overall system definitely feels more refined for everyday usage. But interestingly, I also noticed one issue after the update. The phone now gets warm much quicker during gaming sessions, especially with games like eFootball. And once the heat kicks in, you start noticing frame drops and occasional stuttering mid-game play. It is not completely unplayable, but it's definitely noticeable compared to how the phone behaved before the update. So while the Android 16 improved the overall software experience for daily usage, I honestly think Xiaomi still needs to optimize gaming performance better in the future updates. Now let's talk about the cameras. This is where I think expectations matter a lot. If you're expecting flagship Xiaomi ultra level photography, this is not that, but for everyday usage, the main camera is genuinely reliable. Daylight shots look detailed, social media uploads look great, HDR is decent, skin tones are mostly nice, video stabilization is also okay. Now the biggest thing I noticed after months is consistency. You pull out the phone, take a shot quickly, and most of the time you get something usable. That matters more than having the best camera specs. Now low light still exposes limits and zoom quality drops faster than I would like, which is okay. Not like I use the zoom in feature most of the time. Now the durability aspect of this phone gave me zero worries. Personally, I like using my phones without any extra layers of screen protector or screen guard, so naturally I was expecting at least minor scratches after months of usage, but surprisingly the display still held up really well, partly thanks to the Corning Gorilla Victus 2 protecting the display. No major scratches, no random hardware issues, no green line drama, no battery scars. And that durability matters because sometimes the best compliment you can give to a phone is this: it stays out of your way. And that is exactly what the Redmi Note 15 Pro Plus does well. Now, should you buy it mid-2026? Here is the thing. I understand why some people online think Xiaomi priced it too aggressively at launch, and honestly, at full launch price, the competition was strong. And even now, it is stronger with the likes of Infinix Note 60 Pro, the Tecno Camon 50 Ultra, and the Samsung's Galaxy A57 5G now in the market. But after using it long term, I think this phone makes way more sense than people initially gave it credit for, because not every good phones need to dominate benchmarks. Some phones simply become reliable companions. So yeah, 5 months later, the Redmi Note 15 Pro Plus is not perfect, but it is one of those phones that quietly grows on you over time, and strangely enough, that might actually be its biggest strength, despite the design it came with. I personally wasn't really a fan of it at first, because I had already used the Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus 5G from 2025. So this one didn't really feel very fresh visually, but somehow I still got used to it anyways, and hopefully Xiaomi gives us something a bit more different on the outside with the next Redmi Note Pro Plus in 2027. So that's it guys, thanks so much for watching. Consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already, to help us get to 50,000 subscribers before end of 2026. As always, I guess I'll see you in the next one.